Ukrainian bombers firing Western cruise missiles have knocked out a Russian submarine.
Here's a summary of the article.
This summer, the Ukrainian Air Force's sole bomber unit, the 7th Tactical Aviation Brigade, began arming its 1970s vintage Sukhoi Su-24s with British-made Storm Shadows and ex-French Scalps, stealthy, subsonic cruise missiles, each with a nearly 200-mile range. Su-24s firing Storm Shadows and Scalps began plucking at the Russian Army's logistical system in occupied southern Ukraine, striking depots, repair yards and bridges. On Wednesday morning, Ukrainian bomber crews fired a volley of Storm Shadow or Scalp cruise missiles at the Black Sea Fleet base in Sevastopol, in southern Crimea. Ukrainian forces already had cleared a path for the missiles by blowing up, with a modified Navy anti-ship missile, the Russian Air Force's long-range S-400 air defense battery in western Crimea, and by sending commandos to dismantle Russian sensors on a pair of captured Ukrainian oil platforms in the waters west of Crimea. More for you. There was no stopping the 7th TABS cruise missiles as they streaked right through the remains of Russia's Crimean air defenses on Wednesday and struck a drydock belonging to the Black Sea Fleet's 13th ship repair plant in Sevastopol. Ukrainian Air Force Commander Lieutenant General Mykola Olechuk praised the bomber crews. In 19 months of hard fighting with an enemy that has no major warships, the Black Sea Fleet has lost a cruiser, 3 amphibious ships, a submarine, a supply ship and several patrol boats and landing craft.
This post received a score of 17,000, with an upvote ratio of 95%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
The article is worth a read. It's quite impressive how Ukraine set this up. Weeks of planning, weeks of removing and dismantling Russia's missile defense, and even some commando work that removed some early detection sensors from some oil rigs. So much planning, to ensure that these cruise missiles would have a relatively clear path to the target. Just brilliant, all the way around.
People forget that war is a marathon and not a sprint.
Except for a blitzkrieg, that's a sprint. They stopped pretty quick and allowed British Expeditionary Force to return back. They definitely lost steam quick.
They were ordered to stop. Nothing to do with running out of steam. Just Hitler being a moron.
Actually, they had to stop for maintenance on their vehicles. They'd just sprinted across northern France and southern Belgium, and their tanks were worn out. Hitler's blunder was to turn that pause into a complete halt for a longer period than necessary.
First sub hit with cruise missile. First sub damaged since 1982 Falkland War.
Nitpicking, I know, but it should probably be first, damaged by enemy fire since 1982. The Russian managed to lose Kursk all by themselves in August 2000.
Or India not closing the hatch and flooding the submarine did probably quite a bit of damage just a couple years ago.
Also the US sub that surfaced under a Japanese fishing boat in the early O.
That would be the USS Guinevere, SSN 772. Still not allowed to make port in Japan.
The USS Greenville had 3 collisions in a year span. Are we sure we want it making port in the USA?
It can port on the moon.
It's ready to try at a moment's notice.
Sorry, we were trying to dock on the moon but destroyed the Louvre instead. Our bad.
Less than insert Team America theme here greater than.
A small key victory that saves Ukrainian lives. Russia only has 3 improved kilos in the Black Sea capable of firing caliber cruise missiles at Ukraine now.
That's 3 too many, but I'm excited to hear that number drop even more. Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark.
They shouldn't have parked that shit in Ukraine.
So what are the chances, odds that Russian state media will either 1. Ignore these losses and try to hide them from the Russian public, or 2. Unironically claim these losses were a Ukrainian terror attack? Those poor ships were just minding their own business, probably doing civilian things.
They will do both simultaneously. I guarantee it.
It's a new type of propaganda. Superimposed position where you claim no losses and attribute any imaginary losses to terrorist acts.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.